Okay, so this painting has gotten really, really dark. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna start lightening everything else. So on the layer, this is where I'm going to start defining what the edges and the silhouette of the character is going to look like. And so we can come up with another color that's behind the character. So I don't know. We could start off with blue. And then if we don't like it because it's on a separate layer, we can always change it. But what's more important right now is that I define the shape. So you choose a brush that can help me do that. Okay. I think that my hood is a little bit too low, so I'm actually going to enlarge it a little bit. Actually, I shouldn't choose this color. I'm going to choose a different color. Ooh, that green was kind of cool. Eerie. An eerie green. So now what I'm doing is I'm also thinking about the negative shapes on this character in this painting. Where are the little bits that kind of define the ins and outs of the costume? Where does the hood end? Right. Do I have claws at the end here? Yeah. Can actually bring that back in. See, this is where the shape of the character starts getting defined. Because we couldn't really see the shape of the lines when he was coming out of the shadow before. And now, you know, small detail brush for when you're up close and defining the edges. And you can get a little bit larger when you're out here, right? So I'm constantly changing up brush size with the brackets. You know those bracket keys? Remember that? If I hit the right bracket, the brush gets bigger. If I hit the left bracket, the brush gets smaller. Okay. So this is a huge bracket. That's probably too big. And then here's a little bit smaller. And then even smaller for getting up close right here. Like so. See that? Again, I couldn't really see what I guess this would be like his pinky paw. Pinky paw. That's a new word. Yeah, but now I'm defining it. Defining the actual shape of the gauntlet now as well. And also the robe. If there's like holes and tatters on the edge of the robe, now's the time to define that. All right. So kind of make him look like, I don't know, he's seen some battles. See what I'm doing? I'm painting in the negative shapes. Basically painting the background, whether it be a sky or I don't know what it is. It's a fantasy, so it could be a swamp, because green could indicate a swamp of some sort. Whatever it is. Is that called again when you put this? Like an atmosphere or a fog or something? Even here, the sleeves of the robe, I think I might have gone too crazy with that. In fact, this guy doesn't really have that, does he? Have to rethink what I know. Okay, maybe a little bit, but I think I did go too crazy with that. That goes into my cliche wizard ideas, right? I just assumed all wizards had these long sleeves, but I could be just falling back on cliches at that point, so I gotta be careful with that. We could compromise. Maybe something in between, maybe? I'm not sure. Yeah. Yeah, right? I want to define the edge of this knife before I hit the bottom of this robe. And actually, look at this. This guy's not really... Let's see. Yeah, he's not wearing like a robe that drapes all the way down to the ground. Kind of like that idea. So maybe it ends here and then the legs start here. Something like that. Right. Yeah, again, don't think I'm not. Yeah, I see. That's probably what drew me to it. Right? It's like, oh yeah, it's kind of like Merlin, but not exactly like Merlin. Right? Right. But even Gandalf has, yeah, he has all these like long drapey cloths and stuff. But maybe we need to rethink our definitions there. I may end up just scrapping it altogether. Yeah, I might end up scrapping it altogether. This is also why you don't commit too soon. I'm just gonna define the gauntlet a bit better. Okay, we're gonna say no long sleeves for now, but he will have a cloak and a cape of some sort. I'm just erasing back out this cloth. We'll paint in the cape again, but for now, let me just focus on the silhouette. See, because like this pouch, we really couldn't see the pouch before until you start defining the edges with the negative shape. Same thing here with the other side of the staff. Over here. I'm working from the middle out, right? Some people would like to just define it earlier on and figure out their silhouettes early on. I think because this is a fantasy painting, I don't really want to commit too early. That. Here's the fist.
Is this like the Frank Frazetta?
Yes. This is the Frank Frazetta style assignment. Yes. You could kind of start seeing that in here, right? I hope. It's fancy art. Exactly what it is. And, you know, we can get more interesting here. Instead of just a cylinder, maybe it cuts in a little bit. Cuts in on this side as well. You're using the negative shape to define sort of the overall silhouette of all this stuff, right? Including this jewel that might be on here. And all this scuffing and this like unevenness right now that I'm doing with these brush strokes make it feel more like a painting, right? It's like little imperfections like that make it feel less digitally controlled. Ah, sheesh. And this part's going to be like lion mane sticking out, right? So I want to make sure the silhouette also feels like a lot of hair. And over here, oh yeah, his ears are here. We just made it full circle, all the way around. This makes sense? Notice how we're seeing the shapes of this character a lot better now? And that's just my first pass on it. If you want to detail it more, it's just more passes, right? Like, for example, if I wanted to create a strap around the leg, kind of like how he has right here, you know, maybe that strap will pinch in the clock a little bit, and that'll affect his silhouette as well. So, things I know. I think I messed up a little bit here, right? I'm going to have to redefine the shape of this arm now. That's okay. I can do that. This is going to probably be the hardest part, trying to fix that arm. But I think I can do it. Yeah, why not? Let's do a little strap cut right here so it pinches. Gives it a little bit of a uniqueness to the silhouette as well. And again, little tatters on the edges too. It buys you a lot by doing very little, right? like these little holes right here. Wow. It's got moths. This guy's got moths. There's an artist that's really well known for doing this kind of technique. His name's Bernie Fuchs. I'll show you some Bernie Fuchs work real quick. Oh, come on. Not now. Bernie Fuchs art. So Bernie Fuchs is really good at sort of defining the edges of a painting right there, where it goes back and kind of paints out sort of the edges of the silhouette. See that? See this right here? Kind of does that. And this is a very, it looks like a 1970s style art, right? This is like a great example right here. Sort of the way he does the trees right here. Really defines it with the negative space rather than the positive space. So that's kind of what I'm doing here. You're picking up that trick. Anybody have any questions so far? So just cutting in a little bit. Oh, it's that thing where it's like, you know, the animal that has like their ears clipped slightly. Yeah, like he's gone through some scuffles, right? Something like that. Those are little story points that the artist gets to add. May not necessarily be in the original fiction, but right. I'm sure a lot of this stuff happens that way too, where it's a back and forth between the author and you know, whoever was doing the art. It may not have necessarily been the author's initial intent, but then after observing, like, oh yeah, that's kind of cool. So look, now we've defined the edges a lot better, right? The lion's still too dark, right? As we agree. So let's just make a new layer, and again, we're going to knock some stuff back. Here, I'm just going to color pick from this dude right now. Maybe some kind of a brownish color. Just knock it all back. This time around, I'm not sure. We would try color dodge, but I'm not sure if they will be right. No, that just brightened up the background. Let's try. Ooh, screen? Screen is like way too bright. Hard light. Hard light might be interesting. I think. Oh yeah, here's something else to keep in mind. So let's say, for example, if I painted this in right here, right? and this is done with hard light. And it's like, well, damn, that's still too dark. Well, easy. I just go into hue saturation, so I hit Control U, or you can also go here, Image, Adjustments, Hue Saturation. Okay, Control U is the hotkey, and from here, I can make it more saturated. I can make it brighter. See that? I can change up the colors as well. And so you just kind of start adjusting until you make it brighter and it doesn't look too Instagram-ish, right? And maybe I can leave the background alone. I'll do all this behind that background. See how I just knocked it all back again and faded it back down to sort of the middle gray? But then what that does is it lightened all my darks, right? So, there you go. You just squeeze that down again. And now I've got my silhouette. I'm going to squeeze that down too. And I'm just going to make a new layer. What? We got to do this all over again? Yes. But every time it gets a little better. Every time, you know. You can end up with a painting that just feels completely unfinished as well. And that is a danger to doing all this. And we're going to try to avoid that, but just remembered needed to define this silhouette. But now I can color pick as I paint. I can actually color pick from this background and just paint in sort of the positive and negative shapes as I needed. Just going to start filling in more information as I go. Probably needs a mid-tone of some sort. I'm going to color pick from that dude. Who cares? I'll make him a little bit angrier or maybe a bit more snarl. Ah, come on. Yeah. There's the nose. There's a bit more of a snarl. Bit more expression. Maybe he's like, grr. It's better. More attitude. More tude. Just painting the teeth in. And the darkest darks, and the lightest lights. I'm going to take this color and go a little bit darker with it for my darkest darks. Now this is hard because the light is coming in from underneath, there's actually going to be light that hits the bottom side of his eyes. We're not used to seeing people underlit, but so this part is actually going to get some light on here as well. And then, so all this stuff here is going to be underlit as well. A little creepier on the lighting. Anybody have any questions so far as to how I'm doing this? Pick like a dark color. Because I think when I got to do the darkest darks here, I knocked it back, I think I lost something. I need to redefine this side of it. How do you know what the shapes are?
The way the lighting.
It would help to actually look up like a human head that's lit differently. Portrait lighting. And in this instance, it would be underlight. So looking at something like this chart right here can really help. Oh man. Is there anything? Where is it? There it is. See here? So taking a look at how the light hits across this guy's face can really help. So for example, right here, if the light's coming in from underneath like this, the nose will cast a shadow on the other side. So we can actually do that as well. And now when I hit the shadows, I'm just hitting like the pits, the darkest darks. And you want to change up the brush size too, especially when you're doing drapery. If you've got cloth folds that are all the same size, it looks really fake. So you're gonna need some variation on your cloth sizes. And I'm color picking my shadows as I go. There's my shadow over here. So I define it. Got a lion ear over here that I haven't played around with yet. Somewhere here. With a small little brush, I'm going to hit the edge of this ear like that. And with this, I'm also going to hit the edge here. Like that. And this part needs to be in shadow because it is a hood over his head. So I have to paint that in. Something like that. Again, defining your lights, defining your shadows. It still goes back to the basic stuff that I had taught early on. I hope also that this gives you an appreciation next time you watch, when you see like a piece of fantasy art or magic card art, you're like, wow, they had to go through a lot just to define it. And it's so much easier just to make things go into the shadow, quite frankly. Even though I defined the edges here, I might actually fade out the bottom here again into the shadows. So again, look, I brought back detail, brought back more storytelling as I started painting this part in. Every time a little bit more, hopefully. If you start regressing, that's not good. That's when you get mad. It's like something in the cloth where it's like this. And this is maybe when I should start looking more at this reference image right here. This guy's got all sorts of cool stuff on him. So shadow-wise, it would be something, I'm not sure what, on here. Casting a shadow here, here. On the other side of this belt buckle, there'd be shadows here and underneath as well. over here. Do some kind of a thing right here.
That allowing you to become more agile with the stylus and mouse?
As I'm painting with that now?
Yes.
Yeah, I can do a lot more finer tuned details now. I think. I hope. Sort of glint here, glint here. There should probably be a pouch that's around this thing too. So I'm just gonna define that a little bit better. Whoops. Color pick. Huh?
It's a lot of cargo.
Right.
It's all props, so they actually use.
It's a movie, right? So I don't know. It gives it backstory. It gives it sort of a sense of like this guy needs to be ready for any situation. Maybe makes him look like he knows a lot more. Right, like I encountered a bog witch today, and I know that bog witches need this formula. Right. You see Witcher? You guys?
I'm gonna start watching it soon.
Yeah. Something like that, I guess. All this myth, lore stuff. Oh yeah, the cape too, right? Okay. What's the time? 37. Okay. How about this? I'm gonna stop here and come back and I'm gonna try my best to finish it with the cape in there. All right.